What is it? Just organization, stability, efficient, effective, corruption-free government and administration. Everything works, whether it's water, electricity, gas, telephones, telexes. It just has to work. If it doesn't work, I want to know why. And if I'm not satisfied, as I often was not, the chief goes. And I have to find another chief. Firing a chief is very simple.
Oh, well, good evening, everyone. Can you see me? I don't think you can see me because something went wrong with my system. Please bear with me for a while while I get this sorted out. Okay, today we actually going to talk about, well, our Ling. And unfortunately, she passed away at the age of 69. All right. And I think it's just not usual for such a early dismiss when the average death of age is actually about 83 for women. Right? Unfortunately, she has been suffering from a rare disease, and she died alone, without her parents, without her brothers beside her. It's very unfortunate, right? Well, I do not know her in person, right? I only know her through a friend. Ironically, that friend really hated her father, okay, because he was an activist with Mr. Tan Pell back in the 1970s. And back then they just sent people into they just uh, just get people into ISD if they don't like you. That's the kind of situation we have back then. Okay? So he really hated the LKY. I tell you, whenever we have this talk and all that, we scold and scold and scold. But nevertheless, interestingly, when he was looking for a doctor for his son, right? Liwali became the doctor, okay, and he actually praised Dr. Lee, right? Really praised Dr. Lee. So this is something that we must bear in mind that sometimes we must be very fair to each different people. Of course, as a father, so called, as a daughter, as a daughter, she will defend her father. We can understand that. Okay, we can really understand that. Okay? As a family members. So someone actually say, "Oh, she didn't speak out against the father's rule, draconian rules and all that." But what do you expect her to do? Rebel. but she is also very upright and straightforward and candid in her views. I've read some of her writings. Although I don't agree with her in many of the things that she have said, but that's from her perspective as the daughter of the prime minister back then, and and the sister of the prime minister later. Okay, that's her. But she didn't want to be recognized as LKY's daughter, even when she was having this book that she wrote. Right, she used the title Hakka woman, but technically she is actually a Hakka Peranakan. Okay, but she likes to use Hakka woman. I do not know why, but maybe she she's proud to be a Hakka woman who are supposedly very strong-minded, hardworking, right? So on and so forth. So I hope she can rest in peace. Okay, but it doesn't look right because of this place, Oxley 8, number 8 Oxley Road. Right? Number 8 Oxley Road. Have you been there before? When I first learned driving in the 1990s, I just drove around in Orchard Road. Then suddenly I went into this place. Then I saw, wow, got gooker down there. Wow, not only one, got three gooker outside this house. I was like, wow, what is this house? Oh, it's LKY's home, house. It's a famous number 8 Oxley Road, right? And the gooker looked at me, ready with the guns, just say, "Sue me away, go away," because it was late at night. I can't see very clearly, so I drove very slowly. Oh, so they were quite alert. But also because of this little place, it makes the brothers and sisters of the Ling family quarrel over it. Well, you know, I don't know. I believe in karma. Like, as a Buddhist, I believe in karma. I believe that some Christians also believe in karma. I have one very interesting friend who told me that he's a Christian, but he also believes in karma. Karma credit, he call it, right? But many people don't believe. When I was young, when I was a little boy, my parents used to say, "You don't be naughty, right? Don't do bad things. Also, karma, 会有报应的, karma will get back at you." And even affect your future generation, your son, daughters, or grandchildren and all that. I say, what? Hey, hello, you do bad things, right? Then it affects me. Not fair, I wasn't a Buddhist back then when I was young. I only became a Buddhist formally when I was 27 years old. Very late, very late comer. So, uh, what is karma? Why I said about karma in this case. It's nothing bad that of Miss Lee, Dr. Lee, have done in his life, in her life. Okay, it's actually just like what my parents used to say. What you have done might affect your future generation. I didn't understand that back then, but now when I get older, I look at things in a wider perspective. I tend to see things differently. Okay, very differently. I can tell you, it's very different from when I was young. Okay, why? You see, during LKY's era, right, rightfully or wrongfully, whether you agree with him or not, he has used very draconian laws like the ISD. Just now I was talking about my friend being thrown into the jail without trial. I think for 4 months, 3 or 4 months. Right? Mr. Go King Sui, not Go King Sui, Go Sing Sun. Right? He was actually a friend of Tan Wah Piao, who is in exile in London right now. Right? So when you are at the peak of your power, right, you thought that you can have everything under control, everything at least in Singapore under control. Right? You can use all your power to get your will and your way, right, without obstruction. Very 强势, very strong will, strong minded. Okay? That's LKY. That's him. I think this photos was taken in the 1970s or 1980s. Right? A very fierce father looking, very fierce fatherly figures. Right? You just throw labels at people. We have womanizer when Francis Sell went against him. Francis Sell was AG, Attorney General before. Right? Then he started to go against PAP or rather LKY in person, very personal. Right? He even stood as a candidate for the Workers' Party in 1988. Nearly won, 49%, right? Nearly won the GRC in Euros with a Jufri, right? And Dr. Lee Sao Chu, right? The three of them nearly won, really very close. Okay? So he was thrown label as a womanizer, as if when he was AGC he was a saint, then suddenly become a womanizer. Never mind. Then of course the usual tactic is check your tax evasion, and so on and so forth. And Francis Sell actually went into exile in US and died there without coming back. Right? So my friend was just an activist who just happened to be with Mr. Tan Wah Piao, right? When he was fighting for the marine workers. I think some workers. But Peo Kok was a union chief back then. Right? Peo Kok actually frame him up, frame Tan Wah Piao of rioting, right? When my friend Goh Sing Soo was having coffee with Tan Wah Piao with another Straits Times reporter in a coffee shop nearby. Right? So he has an alibi, right? So because Goh's my friend Goh Sing Soon was the alibi, right? After the trial of Tan Wah Piao, he was sent to jail, right, for rioting charges, right? Peo Kok framed him up. Okay, so my friend was right after the trial, right? Sing Soon told me, he told the reporters outside the courtroom, you know, I will be in jail very soon. And indeed, right, ISD arrested him and sent him to detention without trial. I think he stayed there for 3 or 4 months. Right? That's why he hated LKY very personally for that, because it's injustice that he saw back then. A lot of funny things. So you throw people into jail using brute force of legal force. They found nothing on him. They tried to frame him as a communist, right? Whatever, but they cannot find anything on him, right? Tan Wah Piao, of course, was so-called implicated in the Marxist plot, remember, 1988, right? Uh, he was seen as a Marxist propagator, right? Those young people back then, Teo Sholang and all that, was arrested because when these are the so-called elites, elite students who went to London to study and happened to be in the study group with Tan Wah Piao back then. And when they came back, they helped out Workers' Party in their Hammer publication and all that, and they help out with a certain vulnerable group. I think that back then was there was a house, a Catholic church house, which housed those uh, domestic helpers and women and so forth. They were helping them, but they were rounded up with Vincent Cheng and all that. Right? All these young people will not know. Those who are born after 1980s, they will not know about all this. I went through this era. I saw what they did to all these people. Right? Sending without trial, make them admit in front of the TV, right, of their crime, and they were released and all that. I think Vincent Cheng is still around, right? Uh, Solan is still around, right? They formed the Function 8, right? Ex-detainee of ISD. Okay. So Tan Wah Piao went into Excel before he was supposed to report to National Service right after the jail term, right after he was released from the jail. I think he was in the jail for a few months, right, for rioting charges. Now, for his rioting charges, even when the Straits Times reporter back then was his alibi in court, they still found him guilty, right? Sent him to jail. Hill Court, he also went into exile because of corruption charges. But that is another story, right? So when I look through all this, look back all this case, I say Excel, Tan Wah Piao, Excel. Tan Wah Piao actually cannot return to Singapore for his mother's funeral, right? So when I match this with the things back then, of course there are actually hundreds of detainees, ISD detainees back then. The longest detainee, one of them is actually Lim Chin Song, right, whose brother just passed away last week, I think, this week, I think, just a few days ago, right? Because he was the competitor of LKY for power within PAP. He back out and formed Barisan Socialist. Okay? And Cha Tai Po, 32 years of detention without trial. There are many people who are detained without trial. Injustice, they will never charge in court for any crime. Okay? So I believe all this injustice, right, should be revisited. Right? And justice should be done. Give them back their proper name. Right? Don't throw labels on people for nothing. Right? You look at now, even the strongest, powerful man in Singapore political history, Mr. LKY, after he have passed away. He used to have all his will, right? Determination, what he decided to do, everyone will have to listen to him. But after he's passed away, he can't even defend his own rights of preserving his privacy. That's Oxley, number 8. Right? I think he has made this very clear in many occasions. The reason he have made, I have to admit, I have to give it to him when he said this in one of the interviews, TV interviews. He said that he went to China, visited some of the old houses that was uh, the place where Mao Zedong have stayed, right? Was born and grown up. 故居 in Chinese we say the old place where he used to say all the great people, Mao Zedong, right? And Zhou Enlai and all that. He says he looked at the place is quite badly maintained, right? Although it is a place where the famous historical figures were born there and grown up there. So he said he didn't want his own house to be in the same situation when it's passed on. Right? That was the first time that he mentioned that he didn't want that to happen. Right? The reason is, he said, my legacy should be remembered not by the physical house that I used to stay, but my contribution to the progress of the country, for the nation, that people will remember. And rightfully so. Right? Although I didn't like his harsh way of treating his political opponents, but I think that is correct. That is actually the right mindset. Right? Your house is not your temple, and you are not God, so to say. Right? In Chinese, we also have this habit of creating God out of mortal emperors, so called, right? Or great men, like Kongzi, Kongfuzi. You just have a build a temple, Kong Miao, have to pray to them and all that. He didn't believe in that. Right? He wanted his legacy to be remembered to what he have done for Singapore, not where he stayed. Rightfully so. But why? Why would he ended up with such awkward situation where his own is not another party, his own party, the People's Action Party, in power, is a ruling party right now, who wants to go against his own will and turn him into God and his house into the temple. And of course, the state have a power to do that because of Land Acquisition Act and the Gazette. They can just gazetted the place and said, okay, you cannot destroy it, right? It must be preserved, right? They can go even one step further to turn it into a museum, so on and so forth, right? So his privacy, personal privacy, could be exposed to the world. Where he lives, where he go toilet, you know, and all that thing. It is unfortunate. You think when you're alive, when you're in power, you can do anything you want. basically the most powerful person in this country, but when you die, you are nothing. Even when your son was the prime minister, he was still trying to convince Singaporeans that that is what should be done to Oxley number 8. Right? So, well, it doesn't stop there, right? Then you have his second son, Xin Yang, and the wife, right, forced into exile voluntarily because they are afraid, right, by the very power that the ruling party has to investigate him for lying in the case. Wow, all sort of things. Police want to investigate and question him and all that. That's why they took the first flight out of Singapore. They will not charge it. Of course, now the police say, "Oh, there's no law that prevent them to come back." Of course, they are still Singapore citizen. What? Even if they have a foreign passport, they still can fly to Singapore. What? You can fly in, but whether you can fly out is another matter, right? So, kekong eh, right? So the very reason why Shen Yang and the wife didn't want to fly in is not because they cannot fly in, okay, right? They're afraid that they cannot fly out once they fly in. Basically, instead, right? It's really a funny statement from MHA, right? So Shen Yang, Lee Shen Yang actually put up this. I think it's in when I saw this, I told my friend, right? This is the the last breath of dissidents from the sister, right? Right. Senian put up this. He says that Ling, there's Wai Ling, directed me to convey the following statement on her passing. My father's Lee Kuan Yew and my mother's Hua Gek Chu unwavering and deeply felt wish was for their house at 38 Oxley Road, Singapore, to be demolished upon the last parent's death. Lee Kuan Yew had directed each of his 3 children to ensure that their parents' wish for demolition to be fulfilled. He had also appealed directly to the people of Singapore. Please honor my father by honoring his wish for his home to be demolished. That is what her last word on the matter. It's almost begging Singaporeans to stop PAP, right, from turning their house into a temple, so to speak, right? Well, I'm actually quite okay if PAP want to do it, right? Really. If I come into power, of course I will not do it. But I'm actually quite okay if PAP really want to turn Oxley into a temple. Why? Well, another tourist spot, right? That's the last contribution of Lee Kuan Yew to the economy of Singapore. But I just feel it's sad. Right? For all his life, he built Singapore under his will and wishes. But after he died, right, other people imposed their wishes on him. Okay. Well, that's karma. There are so many families affected by LKY in the past. People who are being imprisoned without trial for years. The longest is 32 years, right? Separated from their families. People who are forced into exile, who never come back and then can never see their family members, attend their family members' wake, right? It's just happening to the Lee family. It's sad. Okay? And of course, the daughter-in-law, right, was actually charged and lost her license to practice law for 15 months, right, for whatever reasons, right. I didn't want to follow the news too closely, but legal processes are being used, weaponized for such issue. I do not know why, seriously. It is supposed to be a family issue. But just because PAP want to milk LKY to the fullest, I say this is very straightforward. The reason why they want to turn 38 Oxley Road into this, right, temple is to preserve his legacy, always remind Singaporeans, no, vote for us because LKY comes, because of LKY. Vote for us because of LKY. But what is LKY got to do with PAP right now? We are on a broken track, remember? Why? Why? We are on a broken track, basically. Right? Just listen to this again.
What is it? Just organization, stability, efficient, effective, corruption-free government and administration. Everything works, whether it's water, electricity, gas, telephones, telexes. It just has to work. If it doesn't work, I want to know why. And if I'm not satisfied, as I often was not, the chief goes. And I have to find another chief. Firing a chief is very simple.
But we are on a broken track. But the PAP, the current PAP government, make decision like what LKY used to do. I will fire the chief. Firing another chief is very simple. Right? No. Because we are having train breakdown again. You know, wow. Within 1.5 months, I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a fifth breaks down. Fifth. What is going on? And people still want to give excuses. He says we do not have corruption, intolerance of corruption, but we just have a corruption case. Iswaran, right, which technically not charged under the corruption charges, a much watered down charges for receiving over $400,000 for 1 year jail term. You can't get your people, your highly paid civil servants and ministers from being greedy, taking gifts here and there. In fact, before Iswaran case came about, there are a lot of others corruption cases of some of the top civil servants. Right? LTA, there was a LTA director who appeared in court today, I think. Right? He was charged already, right? Sent to jail for 2 years. Don't know how many years, right? For receiving over 1.2 million, all in all. But he appeared as a prosecution witness of a director of a company, but they were found not guilty because CPIB's officers, so-called, was found unreliable, right? In the ways they are taking statements. Wow, this is a the first time I saw this news. Well, the judge actually says the CPIB officers, the statement, in the process of taking the statement of these two guys, are one director and the other guy is a management staff of the company, right? Actually did not do it properly, right? They frame it in what they perceive they must be guilty. So it's very important. It's very important how investigators or the police officers that interrogate you, how they ask the question and how they try to lead you into a dead end to incriminate yourself. You should be objective when you are doing your job, not be subjectively thought that this guy must be something wrong with him, so that I must ask this, must try to ask, and if he say the wrong thing, I just don't jot it down, right? So they were found not guilty. Now, so it is important for people to do their job, but it is also important for PAP to keep its highly paid civil servants and ministers and even MPs in good shape. Right? The other time, so many directors within these 20 years, there are a lot of cases that was brought to court, okay, by CPIB, right, by the AGC. And the worst part is this: even the AGC can get it wrong. This is the case I just read today. I was actually quite shocked. But now, I think M. Ravi was in part of this, but in the earlier cases, there was 13 inmates who are on the death penalty roll. That means they are waiting for being to be executed. So in the process, they have these letters they send out to their lawyers, to their families, to their uncles, and to the president, and so on and so forth. Right? By right, right? it must be kept confidential. Okay, of course, the prison officers have a power to actually screen through, but screening through is one thing. You must preserve the inmate's privacy. Right? So I do not know why, in the end, the prison officers actually share some of the letters, right, of these inmates, 13 of them in total, to AGC, because there's a conflict of interest. Okay, for example, if the inmates are actually communicating to their lawyers, right, there might be sensitive things that between the lawyer and their client, right? And AGC is actually the opposite side. You should not intercept such communication, right? It's very important. But for some reasons, this communication, these letters were actually sent to AGC, right? Now, the implication of this is quite great in the legal framework. But AGC cannot say that he didn't know the rules or the law. Right? It cannot plead innocence, definitely. But how can AGC, who is supposed to be the guardian of the of of the law of the land, make such mistake itself? And the court rules Singapore Prison Service (AGC) acted unlawfully by disclosing and requesting prisoners' letters. They actively requested for the letters. Unfortunately, right, in the verdict, which I do not agree with the judge on this, but that's his prerogative, right? The Court of Appeal says that there's no framework, or the plaintiff, that means those 13 inmates, right, didn't point out strongly why they should be compensated for the compromise of their privacy. In the district court, that means a lower court, right? Some of them were offered $10, right? I was thinking, wow, our privacy only worth $10. You know, if anyone review communication, right, whether it's restricted or confidential, under restricted, confidential, or secret or top secret documents in the army lah. If we just pass this around to other people who are not supposed to know it, we'll be charged in court. Right? What compensation are you talking about? We'll be charged in court straight away. So if communication of the government will compromise, right, it is a very serious crime. But when the agency compromise our inmates' privacy, right, they just got a reprimand from the court. I just find it uneasy. It's correct because this is a civil lawsuit, because it's actually the inmates themselves file a lawsuit against the agency and the prison service for compromising their privacy. But there's no precedent of compensation. That's correct. Right? So I showed this news to my friend, and my friend came up with this. He says, actually, under the postal law, you see, we have to use a very rare law, the postal law. Okay, under the postal law, okay, section 36B, If anyone willfully opens or causes to be opened any letters which ought to have been delivered, or does any act whereby the due delivery of a letter to any person is prevented or impeded, shall be guilty of an offense. Right? He told me that, oh, maybe this law should be applied, but I don't know. It was the AGC who made the mistake. How can the AGC charge himself under this whatever criminal code? You know, I do not know. But things are not getting right. Okay? There must be ways. There's no excuse to say, oh, these low-level officers do not know what they are doing, do not know the rules and all that. It's not excusable. If laymen like us, right, already thinks that something is not right, right, how can people who work for the prosecutor, public prosecutor, can claim ignorance that this is actually not right, right? Because in normal circumstances, in a normal, even in a civil lawsuit, for example, right, someone sue me or I sue someone, or in a criminal case, right, right, I am not supposed, if I'm a witness, I'm not supposed to be in contact with the accused or vice versa, because there's conflict of interest. There should not have a communication. And the communication between me and my lawyer should not be made known, right, to the other party, whether he's a public prosecutor or in the civil lawsuit, the other lawyers. It is such clear cut. So we are not in a good state. Okay, really, we are the whole system doesn't actually sound right to me. Just simple thing like you should not accept gifts from anyone who have a conflict of interest. The concept of conflict of interest actually was lost to everyone. Like Iswaran. Initially, he still claimed that he's innocent. But to me, it's outright. I look at it. How can you claim innocence when even a low level, very low level civil servant who have known that he or she should not receive any gratification or money or gifts from people who have any dealings with his own department? It is so straightforward. Okay? It's so straightforward. So the core values of what is right and what is wrong, what should be done and what should not be done, have been blurred. Right? Just because Akong LKY is not around. So everybody probably right, can claim ignorance about everything under the sun. Cannot. It's, it's just it's just a logical thing. Right? Anyway, we shall see what will happen in the coming days. Okay? Whether the saga of this Oxley issue will come out again. There will be another big hoo-ha if a PAP really want to go through it. But the fact to be told that they have budgeted $350 million. $350 million, not $3 million, not $35 million, but $350 million, right, for the Founders Memorial Hall, another temple. I always call this Memorial Hall temple. Okay, really temple. I would say if you have a memorial hall for Second World War, I may consider that worthwhile to actually set up. Right? But Founders Memorial Hall spending 350 million over it, and you still want to impose higher GST on us? No wonder money not enough lah. Right? No wonder. I can tell you, why not you spend more time in managing the system, whether it's MRT, right? Whether it's those pipes keep bursting, whether it's in Marine Parade it bursts, Haig Road it bursts, in the not Jalan Besar, Little India down there, it's also Henderson Road also burst. Everywhere got burst pipe for whatever reasons. Right? This cannot go on. This whole place start to crumbling down. I have this feeling. Right? Everything is broken. Right? It's no longer like what LKY have said in the video. Everything works. Right? Now even the landline of a Singtel can go haywire for hours. Even the 999 and 995 cannot call. Huh? Wow. I think that was a long time ago when we experienced that. Right? And it just happened within these few months. Nothing works. Nothing seems to work in these few months. Even landlines cannot work. Goodness. And yet, we are facing the highest cost, highest COE. Okay, it will still go up, believe me, right? Sooner or later, you will reach. I believe sooner or later, you will actually reach 150,000. Then you will go up to 200,000. Why? It's just plain economics. In fact, this time round, they already said they are going to increase the number of COE by 3%, which they're not supposed to, because the total number of cars, the COE, are supposed to remain zero. But for some reason, I don't know where does the 3% comes from. Maybe just an old tongue first. They are expecting some cars is going to be scrapped and those. I do not know. Right? And yet it went up. Why? Population. You cannot keep increasing your population while maintaining your COE numbers like that. Else, the result is very simple. The demand for cars, private cars, COE, especially when all these new citizens or new PRs are well-to-do one, demand for cars will go up. While the supply is fixed. A levels economics. What will happen? The price will shoot up. That is the only result we can see. Okay. Okay. So that's all, folks, for today. I will be talking about CPF. Actually, I'm actually a bit late. I'm supposed to talk about CPF, then healthcare, but slowly, I will be talking about CPF again in the coming live chat. Hopefully, it will be this Sunday. Right. Till then, if you like my chat, please like, comment, and share, and follow. Thank you for watching. And of course, election is coming, right? Election department have just invited us to a briefing for election advertising briefing. They have new rules. Every election they have new pattern one. So have to send people down and look at what new rules they have. Okay. So the election machinery have slowly been started. And hopefully they will let us know at least 3 months in advance. Not like wow, within 1 month go for election. Siao, right? Okay. So election is coming. Please donate to our People's Power Party election funds. Thank you for watching and good night.